Shown him. The eyes were the first thing he noticed. Two large, pale eyes. No whites. No pupils anyone could make out. Just a pair of round, glowing orbs staring back from the stone wall. Then it moved, and 17-year-old Bill Bartlett kept driving. He told no one at first. He wasn't sure anyone would believe him. It was April 1977, Dover, Massachusetts, a quiet, affluent town about 15 miles west of Boston, the kind of place where nothing unusual ever happened. Bill Bartlett was driving along Farm Street just after 10 at night when his headlights swept across something crouching on a stone wall at the road's edge. He described it later in detail. Roughly the size of a child, with a large watermelon-shaped head, long, spidery fingers wrapped around the rocks, and skin the color and texture of wet sandpaper. No clothing, no discernible features beyond those eyes. He sketched it that same night on paper before going to sleep. He wrote beneath the drawing, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature." Then something changed. Less than 24 hours later, a 15-year-old named John Baxter was walking home from his girlfriend's house along Miller High Road. He saw a figure moving ahead of him on the road. He assumed it was a friend. He followed it. The figure veered into the woods, and Baxter followed for several minutes before it stopped. He later told investigators it had been standing upright against a tree, its long fingers wrapped around the trunk, its feet flat on the ground, toes splayed, gripping the surface like hands. He stared at it. It stared back. He turned and walked away quickly. He did not run. He would later say he didn't know why. The third sighting came the same night as Baxter's. Will Taintor and Abby Brabham were driving through Springdale Avenue just after midnight. Brabham saw it first. Something crouched near the road, illuminated by the car's headlights. She described the same large head, the same spindly limbs, but she said the eyes were green, not pale, not colorless, green. That single discrepancy would follow this case for decades. There were no more reported sightings after April 22nd. 3 witnesses, 3 nights, a 2-mile radius, no photographs, no physical evidence ever recovered. Families gathered around dinner tables in Dover and talked about what it might be. Children refused to walk home after dark that summer. The town had no name for it yet. That came later. Loren Coleman, a cryptozoologist who investigated the sightings in the weeks that followed, gave it the name, the Dover Demon. But here's what the history books never mentioned. The witnesses had nothing to gain. Bill Bartlett wasn't a kid chasing attention. He was a quiet teenager in a small town. He and the others were interviewed separately. Their descriptions aligned on almost every detail without coordination. And yet the investigation itself was deeply informal. No law enforcement body opened a file. No state agency responded. The only people who showed up to ask questions were local journalists and a handful of independent cryptid researchers. Dover's most discussed unexplained creature was never officially examined by any institution with the authority to do so. Some researchers have argued the witnesses saw a known animal and misidentified it under poor lighting conditions. A young moose calf, spindly, large-headed, hairless in patches due to mange, was the most commonly proposed explanation. Moose were not unheard of in rural Massachusetts. The proportions, the pale coloring, the large round eyes, a calf viewed in headlights at close range might account for much of what was described. But there was a problem. Bartlett's sketch was remarkably consistent with the other verbal descriptions, and none of the witnesses described hooves, a snout, or any feature associated with a known ungulate. Baxter specifically described it gripping a tree trunk with elongated fingers. A moose calf cannot grip a tree. Others have proposed a more unsettling alternative, that the creature was an entity from Algonquian tradition. The Wampanoag and other indigenous peoples of southern New England have oral traditions describing non-human entities associated with water, stone walls, and liminal spaces between settled land and wilderness. Some researchers have noted that the Dover sightings occurred within a region historically associated with such accounts. The description, hairless, large-headed, pale, clinging to rocks near water, does bear a loose resemblance to certain figures from those traditions, but no indigenous scholars have formally endorsed that connection. It remains a parallel, not a conclusion. A third possibility never gained much traction at the time, but has resurfaced in recent discussions around the case. The late 1970s saw a significant rise in documented encounters across New England involving creatures that shared physical traits with the Dover demon. Elongated limbs, large craniums, absence of facial features, pale or gray skin. Researchers cataloging these reports noted a geographic cluster along the Route 128 corridor of Massachusetts during roughly the same period. No formal study was ever conducted linking these sightings, and then came something nobody expected. In 2006, Loren Coleman, the same researcher who named the creature in 1977, released additional case notes he had retained for nearly 30 years. Among them was a detail he had not published at the time of the original investigation. A fourth potential witness had been identified in 1977, a local resident who reported seeing something on Farm Street the same night as Bartlett, traveling in the opposite direction. That person had declined to be named. Coleman had honored that request. The individual had never come forward publicly. Their account, recorded in Coleman's private notes, described the same creature at the same location, but moving away from the road, into the tree line, at speed. The document was not verified by any third party, but it has never been disputed either. What remains is a case built entirely on witness testimony and the particular weight that testimony carries when you examine it carefully. These were not people who knew each other well. They were not coordinating a story. They did not seek media coverage. Bill Bartlett went on to have a quiet adult life and has said in interviews decades later that he stands by his account. He has never changed a single detail. He has also never tried to profit from it. The case attracted no government interest, no formal scientific inquiry, no follow-up by any institution with resources to investigate properly. It remained a local story, passed around in books on New England cryptids and the occasional documentary. Dover itself has never placed a historical marker. The stone wall on Farm Street where Bartlett first saw it still stands. Unremarkable, moss-covered, ordinary. What the Dover demon reveals, more than anything, is a gap. The gap between what people see and what institutions choose to examine. 3 credible witnesses, 0 official follow-up. A creature described with unusual consistency across independent accounts, and a research record made up almost entirely of one man's private notes. We have better tools now for investigating anomalous encounters than we did in 1977. Better cameras, better communication, better forensic methods. None of them were ever pointed at Dover. For 2 nights in April 1977, something moved along the stone walls and tree lines of a quiet Massachusetts town. 3 people saw it. They described the same pale eyes, the same long fingers, the same absence of anything familiar. Then it was gone, no trace, no explanation that fully accounts for every detail. What kind of creature leaves 3 separate witnesses drawing the same impossible shape and then simply vanishes into 40 years of silence? The Unsolved Vault. New cases every week.